If you've been on social media over the last week or so, and specifically on social media interacting with the beauty community, then you have no doubt come across new terms in our vocabulary such as lashgate and lash lighting, okay? These terms came out of a scandal involving beauty influencer Mikayla Nogueira and her now scandalous review of a L'Oreal mascara. If you'd like to hear more about what a lawyer thinks about all of this and the legal undertones behind Miss Mikayla's actions, then keep on watching. Here at Graphene Business Law, our slogan is all business all the time, and false advertising, while it's not our favorite business topic, it is something that some creatives can get entangled with. And I believe part of that is because creatives, just as that title or name or term indicates, there's so much beauty in what they do to push the envelope in promoting their craft or their service, whatever it may be. However, pushing the envelope in terms of having more people to buy your product through potentially misleading them as to that product, well, that's not necessarily a direction we want to go, we want to head toward. And I'll start this video by commenting first or summarizing first the facts, if you will, 2 or 3 sentences of facts here. From what I know, Mikayla Nogueira is a beauty influencer coming out of Boston, Massachusetts, a city I'm very well familiar with. I lived there for 4 years, and TikTok is one of the platforms she's on. It's certainly a platform she's very popular on. And on TikTok, she put out this review of a L'Oreal mascara. I'm looking at the title here. It's 3 words, Telescopic Lift Mascara, okay? And her followers were quick to notice that while at first she seems to be applying the product to her genuine lashes, there's sort of a cut, and then there seems to be false lashes added at the very least near the ends of her eyes or the outer circles of her eyelids. Questions aside, in terms of the social, why would you do this? Why would you not show the authentic product and what it can really do if it's that good? Those are not necessarily questions that we're going to focus on as a law channel. My name is Pam Matani. I'm a business lawyer and founder here at Graphene Business Law. So of course we help entrepreneurs and business owners with legal issues and questions about why somebody might have done something. That's more of a social judgments or what have you, and that's not the focus of this video. The focus of this video is genuine, a legal conversation and legal analysis and evaluation of allegedly what has occurred here, okay? Now, when it comes to that conduct of, and when I say conduct, based on the alleged behavior of putting false lashes on for a mascara review, to then speak on how long your natural lashes are, okay? When it comes to that conduct, there's a term you might have heard of. It's false advertising or misrepresented advertising, okay? Misleading advertising. Those are terms that float around there that legally could capture this sort of behavior. It's important to know that when it comes to false or misleading advertising, there are both civil and criminal repercussions. Now keep in mind, Graphene Business Law, we operate virtually throughout Ontario, Canada. That's our jurisdiction. And I do know that Ms. Mikayla is based out of Boston, as I mentioned, in the US. So I'm going to, of course, put a note here and disclaim that laws between the US and Canada are not identical, although it is not uncommon to see Canadian cases citing US cases and vice versa on the other side of the border. But for what it's worth, that's a legal fact, that's a legal disclaimer I need to put out there. Now, in Canada, when we have misleading advertising, as I mentioned, we can go the civil route. And what that means, for those of you not familiar, is that there's no jail time. When we're talking civil, we're focusing more on dollar signs, on how much, what's the fine for this sort of behavior. We're trying to get money out of the situation, okay? That's the damages we're going for. When it comes to criminal, well, I think a lot of you socially or pop culture wise would be familiar with what that entails. It could entail jail time. It could entail house arrest. It could entail, sentence served over weekends. It could entail a host of sentencing that has to do with that jail or prison setup somewhere in that picture, okay? What's important with false advertising is actually that the test for it doesn't require, it's not based off of what the most sophisticated, detail-oriented potential consumer would think when they're looking at this ad that Mikayla put out with the mascara, okay? The person or the figure-in-law we're basing it off of is just a general person, okay? And I'm reading here, I'm looking down, of course I have my notes. It says here, the Supreme Court of Canada said that it's clear that this test is a general impressions test, okay? The test for misleading advertising. The impression is to be made on a commercial representation on a credulous and inexperienced consumer, okay? So not somebody that is particularly experienced at detecting falsehoods or subtleties. Now, what's interesting about this is that Mikayla's customer base or fan base, I would venture to argue that they're actually quite experienced at pointing out these details, right? The average, you would imagine, beauty consumer or beauty fan out there is watching multiple makeup artists, posting multiple times a day. They're well aware as to different, in this case, mascara products and eyelash products and those details, and they actually do have that trained eye to call her out. However, for what it's worth, so many people called her out, then that might bring into question, well, not all of these people were makeup experts, and yet they all noticed something was wrong. Excuse me. Now, as I mentioned, misleading advertising in Canada can go both the civil and criminal route. I'll tell you that as a general undertone to what I've researched and what I've studied, it's not the first inclination of the system to put somebody in jail for misleading advertising. We're going to try and usually see what we can get out of, what resolve we can get out of the system by means of civil journey and potentially damages, okay? I'm just scrolling down my notes here. Okay. So what has been proven to establish misleading advertising? When it comes to the civil angle, the civil aspect, we're looking at a case whereby whoever is suing Mikayla in this case, if somebody decides to sue, they would need to establish the burden of proof on a balance of probabilities that a representation was made. The representation, of course, being the message she's putting out there, that this mascara will make your natural eyelashes the longest they can be, to the public, to promote a product or business interests, and then the representation is false or misleading, and that the representation is material. So if we break that down, was a representation made? Keep in mind, I'm not a judge. What I say out there on the internet is not, going to Mikayla's door today, and this is her fate and her destiny in time and space. I'm sharing my opinion, I'm sharing my thoughts, and I happen to be a lawyer and a business lawyer specifically, okay? But when it comes to the representation made, that representation is that message being put out there. So I would argue that the representation Mikayla is making is once you put this mascara on your lashes, you're going to have the best, longest lashes out there, something to that extent. I think we could say here that a representation was made. Was it made to the public? Well, cough break on that one, because given that millions of people have seen this video, yes, I think we can satisfy that element. Was the representation made to promote a product or business interest? I think we could, there are factors to support that element of the test as well. Mikayla, from what I know and from what I've researched, was sponsored by L'Oreal in making this post, and specifically what I believe that means is that she was paid by them. So the better the product does, the better and healthier her bottom line could be, and certainly it would strengthen her business relationship with L'Oreal as well, to say, hey, you guys wanted me to test this out, I tested it, it did so well because of all the attention and all the clicks made following my representations publicly made, okay? That the representation is false or misleading. Now, that could be a trickier part, because ultimately I can't go back in time or space to insert myself into that room and moment in time where she may or may not be putting on the false lashes, right? So that's what's in question here. That's the contentious point. However, there are ways that we can do our best legally, whether it's expert witnesses would be something we can do. You know, you can have beauty experts look at that and give their expert opinion on whether these lashes appear to be false, or whether it could be that the telescopic something lift mascara by L'Oreal could genuinely have accomplished this result. There are ways to get to that. There are ways to answer that element of the test as well. And whether the representation is material. Now, material, for those of you that are not well versed with legal terms, material means, a good synonym for it would be significant or important. So when we're pointing to our eyelashes and the only product that could go on them is mascara, and we're saying this mascara gives you the best eyelashes, well, I would venture to say it is certainly material what happened and what she demonstrated happened to her eyelashes in that video. That's the whole point of the video. People aren't putting on mascara to get healthier fingernails, right? You're putting it on to get a certain result on your eyelashes. And she represented definitely a certain result when it came to her eyelashes, okay? Now, there are criminal tests as well that I mentioned here. I'm reading here the Criminal Code of Canada, Section 52 sub 1, no person shall, for the purpose of promoting, directly or indirectly, the supply or use of a product, or for the purpose of promoting directly or indirectly any business interest, by any means whatever, knowingly or recklessly, make a representation to the public that is false or misleading in a material aspect, okay? You might notice a lot of buzzword overlap with the criminal and the civil side. As I mentioned, from what I've seen, the appetite is to go the civil route, at least first. And there is a public interest component to deciding if the Crown wants to prosecute this case criminally. What would be in the public interest about doing this criminally? What could we accomplish criminally that we can't accomplish by penalizing Mikayla civilly, okay? Arguably, there's a lot that can be said there as well, considering that this marketing materials are going out, I would venture to guess, to a very impressionable fan base, okay, including likely, well, I don't know if children are allowed on TikTok, but teenagers certainly are, and that's still such a young demographic. And that's the whole point of this video. It's to influence. She's a beauty influencer. So if now we are going just the civil as opposed to civil and criminal route on an influencer that's influencing through false advertising, well, maybe that is the kind of case where there is public policy interest in making an example out of this case and doing something criminal as opposed to just civil about it. Maybe there isn't. That's not my decision to make. What I can put out there, again, is my opinion as a lawyer and share with you some of the factors for those of you that are curious. I know there's so much that's been put out on this topic in the beauty community, more by means of social or pop culture commentary. I looked, I don't think I saw anything yet out there from lawyers specifically or from business lawyers specifically. So now I'm just trying to better educate you on some of the thoughts that would need to be had legally here as well. It's not just as easy as, you know, the passion we feel socially when we see something. Those are falsies. Lock her up. There's a lot more that goes into the legal realm and into the work of lawyers and judges and the justice system. And I hope this video helps you understand some of that. And I hope this video helps you understand this LASHGATE scandal better overall. If you'd like more pop culture videos, feel free to let us know either in the comments, or you can email us any specific topics you have in mind. I love reading your emails, info@graphenebusinesslaw.ca. And of course, our website for anybody watching in Ontario, which is the jurisdiction we can help and practice in. If you're worried that you might be in a similar situation yourself, or if you have any other business worry, graphenebusinesslaw.ca is our website, and you'll find there the multiple avenues through which you can contact us and start a conversation. Thank you for watching.